Footy Focus Podcast, episode 32. This is Sharnika, joined as always by Shahan.
Hey Sharnika, how you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good day to be Victoria. I think it's 15 days in a row without any COVID cases. So
yeah, hopefully the country does well and doesn't halt or delay the start of the AFL or AFLW season starting.
Yeah, selfishly, yeah.
Yeah, that's all we're here to talk about.
So we'll move on to some footy news. So
But first, we got a quick mention in the FeedSpot website. So yeah, if you Google AFL podcast, it's the first hit, and there's a number of very good podcasts up there. I think
AFL Exchange. Two Guys, One Cup. Yeah, I've heard that.
That's a comedy podcast, football podcast, by the way, and a few other things. And we made number 13 on that list.
Yeah, so that's in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, in Australia. So yeah, quick shout out to those guys.
Yeah, lucky 13 for us.
Do you have any footy news?
Yep, so the big news in footy circles was Graham Wright. So the Hawks former GM, so the Pies have poached him. So he'd done 13 years at the Hawks, list architect of 4 premiership sides. So I think the Pies have not redeemed themselves after that horrendous trade period, but they did really well in the draft, got a few names, and poached probably one of the best list bosses in the country.
Coup for the Pies, wouldn't you say? Yeah. And I saw Mark McGowan, our man.
Our man, yeah.
He was a little bit worried about what's happening with the Hawks at the moment. A little bit. But I think they'll be okay, Mark.
Yeah, I think it does beg the question because they're obviously, whether they're rebuilding or not, but yeah.
I mean, the supporters have a lot to be happy about. So
yeah, they can sit tight for another few years.
Yeah, we a quick rebuild, I'm sure. Okay. Couple of other quick things. AFLW, there was a big bump to one of the players. One of the girls hit one of the other players, and there was a suspension of 3 games.
So it was a practice match, wasn't it? It wasn't a real match.
Practice match.
So I think Ebony Marinoff was the culprit, and she
Crows player.
Yeah, and she's a freak. I think she was their best performed player when they won the flag, even more so than Erin Phillips.
Clearly a ball hunter because she was just going for the footy and happened to get the other player head high.
So it was an injury that resulted from that?
It was a neck injury. I think they stopped play and everything.
They did cut her off, didn't they?
Yeah. I don't think there was any malice in it or anything. So, again, I think the AFL is just setting the example to rule out any head-high contact, but it's a contact game. And
yeah, it's interesting because I think Alex Neilbull, the D's player, did the neck-high tackle. I think one of the Crows players this year, and he got, I think, 4 weeks, and that was the kind of example there. But, Ebony Marinoff is one of the stars, so it's interesting to see that.
Yeah. As of today, the tribunal hearings, it's been adjourned, so I think it's continuing tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, we might kick it off with the 2 clubs we're reviewing, Carlton and Geelong.
So one disappointing year from Carlton and obviously the grand final team in Geelong. So we move on to Carlton.
Yep. So, summary of the year was they won 7 games and lost 10 to finish 11th on the ladder. Percentage, not too bad, 94%. And, just 2 games outside of the finals.
Yep. So we got any word on the BNF results?
No, we don't. They're the only club who have not held it. That's a bit strange, don't you think?
So when is it? 6th of Feb?
Yeah, a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's pretty much... teams are back doing full-on pre-season training as well.
Yeah, they've delisted players from last year. They've got new players in, and I wonder who makes a cut for the invite list. Yeah,
because even players like Cruiser that have retired and Cade Simpson, you're doing a video tribute to them, well after they've retired.
So who do you think would be one of the favourites for the John Nicholls medal?
Yeah, I'd normally say Paddy Cripps, but I think Sam Walsh and Jacob Wiedering are probably the hot favourites. McKay and the recruit Jack Martin, they're probably next in line.
Yeah, maybe McKay, a bit of a dark horse, but I think Walsh might have this one. They beat most teams below them on the ladder, so I think, the ladder position definitely indicates that. And only 2 teams above them.
They beat. So they thrashed the Bulldogs and I think just beat the Cats in Geelong as well.
Yeah, so that was a good win. So they did just need to bridge the gap between their best and worst. Because, one of the teams they lost to was Hawks, and they were a bottom 4 team, and they gave up a 5-goal lead to them.
Yeah.
But great win against the Cats on the back of Cripps.
And the worst loss was against the Hawks, and it's just a trend for them giving up a 5-goal lead as well. Just their big swings in their games as well. So they're I think maybe 40% of David Teague's games they give up 5-goal swings and just cost them the game in the end.
But they've always been in games. That's a positive. So do you want to kick us off about what worked for them this year? Yeah,
so one of the BNet favourites, Sam Walsh. So I think number 1 draft pick obviously, but Rosie, Bailey Smith and Ben King were picked after him in that draft and probably had far better debut years, but I think Walsh fought back. I think it's probably between him and Bailey Smith about who had the better year. Yeah, he just emerged as an A-grade winger, using his elite endurance, probably cut down his turnovers. Still a bit high for my liking, but just looks like a 10-year, 200-plus game player.
But Welsh had a better year than those guys, is that what you said?
I think it was only Bailey Smith that probably rivaled him for the best second year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. Rising star win, obviously, so... I think his start to the year was a bit slow, but he really got going after sort of that. Yeah, and
took mark of the year as well against Port, diving back in front of Charlie Dixon as well.
Yeah, so for me it was the recruitment of Mark Pittonet.
Pittonet.
He's a
French player. Yeah.
Must have maybe he's called the Frog or something. He was from the Hawks, so he managed only 7 games there in 4 years under Clarkson, and he came in to replace Phillips essentially as a ruck depth to Cruiser.
Yeah, he had a better year than that though, didn't he?
Yeah, Cruiser got injured early on, and he came in to play 13 games.
So he's still 24 years old. Got coaches' votes in 2 of the first 3 games, and he's a big body, isn't he? He's not elite endurance type ruckman, but
I mean he's a developed player, he's ready to go, so he's just going to help Tom De Koning, help him develop, because you'd imagine they might share the ruck load next year. So even for their midfield, which is still pretty young really outside of Cripps and maybe Williams now, so no, he's been great, good pickup.
It's good recruiting pickup for them. And what failed for me, so getting Charlie Curnow on the park, that's probably the number one thing for the club. 0 games in 2020 after only 11 the year before. Yeah, he's easily the most prodigious talent at the club, even with Cripps.
Yeah, I think Wayne Carey rates him really highly. Reckons he's the best key position player in the comp. So
I think on his day, maybe him and Danaher, both injury prone, but he's probably could be the difference between finals and not for the club. He's got another knee injury at the moment. It's likely to sideline him for the first half of 2021, so it's crucial that they get him back at least for the back half of the year.
They just need another goal kicker as well, especially with Betts, who shouldn't maybe make the starting team because of his age, and Casbolt's 31, and Nunes also kicked a lot of goals, so those guys finished in their top 4 for their goal kicking.
Yeah.
McKay won it, but you need to find other avenues to goal, and I think Curnow would be an important player in that.
Yeah, 100%. They just need more tall targets too, like they're 4th for inside 50s, but on the 11th for mark. So exactly, and Curnow will definitely help mark the ball. If not, he'll just bring it to the ground to the feet of those crummers. Yeah, 100%.
For me, we touched on it earlier. Just slow out of the blocks in games. I think, especially early on, they let Melbourne and the Crows, for example, get up on them. 5 goals in the first quarter they were chasing. So again, especially teams like the Crows, and Melbourne didn't have the best year. So I think it has to be all mental. So maybe the Hubs wasn't exactly kind to them.
Yeah. Well, they do have a bit of they have a lot of older players too, so it's not just younger players on their list. But like we said before, there's too many 5-goal swings within their games.
Because they did have a couple of fast starts as well. Yeah. So they did go 4 or 5 goals up early, against Hawks, but then they let them back into it. Yeah. And another one would be a failure of the recycled players. So this has been a real sort of bugbear of mine, really. Yeah. So they've gone out and got guys like Mullet, Bug, Fasolo, Lobe, your man.
Yeah, previous.
Jed Lamb and Kerridge. So all these guys, they're sort of list cloggers. And not sure what the purpose of them, getting them and delisting them after a year or two is really. Like, and this year they've let go of, or last year they let go of Darcy Lang, Goddard and Moore. So 3 other players who were fringe at their previous clubs. So I think they just got to stop recruiting fringe players.
Yeah, 100%. There's too many. Like, you could probably forgive 1 or 2, but you've just mentioned probably 8 or 9. So it's too much for a list, especially with the sizes being cut down slightly as well.
I mean, some of them have worked. Like Nunes is okay.
Gibbons as well. He's done well.
Yeah. Go for more guys like Gibbons because he was from the VFL, right? So and some other players have given up a bit for, like McGovern and Plowman, I think. So they should be in their best 22.
Yeah, 100%. Plowman's the top 3 pick. McGovern's on a lot of money thanks to Rue making that public from the Crows. But hopefully not another example of that. Hopefully they can live up to their potential. Yeah,
okay. So they've done better this year. They did get a couple of some marquee players. But fill your gaps maybe with 19-year-olds or state league players.
Yeah, 100%. So who deserves a pay rise? So for me, it was a bit of a stretch really. You had a good one, but Will Setterfield, 16 games, 12th in tackles per game and 3 clearances. So he's only 22, great size at 192 centimetres. Should really be pushing for more midfield time to support Cripps, especially as that big body. I think Zach Williams is probably a bit slight to be in the stoppages 100% of the time. And I think just highlights ultimately disappointing team here. We had to kind of look for players that deserved a pay rise. But you did have a good one, though.
Still on Setterfield. Yeah. He was pretty. He was one of those players that was fringe at his old club that has worked. So you're not saying all of them don't work, but so he had a really good year. And I had Harry McKay as mine, so it was hard to go past him, really. I think he was the obvious one. He had a good year in 2019, but an amazing year this year. So I wouldn't say breakout exactly, because I think 2019 was good, but stood up with that Curnow. 21 goals, pretty much the best contested mark in the game.
Yeah, especially with the height as well.
Yeah, he came equal second in that. And he's only 23, so he's just coming into his prime in the next couple of years. So 200 centimetre key forwards are hard to stop and hard to come by.
Yeah, it's probably just a set-shot goal kicking, which is maybe the only weakness. But if you can play as that number 2 tall at Curnow, you've got 2 really good key forwards for the next 10 plus years. They're both very young as well.
Mm-hmm. So who needs a big 2021?
Yeah, so for me, I think the obvious one, Paddy Dow. So pick 3 in 2017. Only 3 games last year due to injuries largely. And he's really got to step up and push to be the best 22 player that his talent and draft position warrants.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit light. So hopefully he can work hard in the gym, put on size. And then it's about, building confidence in his game and, working on those little things because... Yeah, no doubt he's got the talent.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can come on. And similar, I had Liam Stocker, so another early pick in the draft after Dow. So it might be a bit harsh because he did have some personal issues and he left the hub. So hopefully he gets that sorted.
That's a good,
Yeah, but when he comes back, I'd want him to improve on his 5 games. Play a few more games and just provide that depth. They did trade a first rounder for him with the Crows.
So they pretty much got the 2 first rounders for the number 1 pick or early first rounder, didn't they? So
not number 1, but it worked out to be a fair trade in the end. So it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
Because of the Crows, they slid down the ladder the next year. So, but I think Stocker's one that they would have high hopes on. And you had a player that hasn't even played a game.
Yeah. So Zach Williams. So I think just based on the contract, so it's a 6-year contract. Reports are it's for 800k a year plus. Yeah, just big money for a halfback flanker with midfield potential. Like he was BOG in the 2019 prelim against the Pies, but hasn't really proved that he can play quality midfield minutes.
Yeah, Mark Finey was pretty critical about that in their podcast. So doesn't believe Zach Williams is a midfielder.
Yeah, well, he really needs to be based on the contract. I mean, Adam Sard clearly is halfback flanker, maybe winger, but I mean, Zach Williams has to be, prime time midfielder. It really should be the number 2 mid after Cripps, maybe 3 with Walsh, but
yeah, he'll get a lot of minutes there because they don't have the best depth in the midfield. So yeah, he'll definitely want to put his best foot forward.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we could have probably gone for a couple more. Probably just highlights why the team didn't make finals.
Yeah, a few other first rounders like O'Brien and these sorts of guys could have been in that mix.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on to the key list changes. I'll run us through who went out. Yep. So, a couple of champions in Cade Simpson and Matthew Cruiser. And then you got Lang, O'Dwyer, Silvani, Hugh Goddard, McCready, who was highly rated in his sort of underage year, so it just didn't work out for him. Callum Moore, who's still training with them, I believe, and Fraser Phillips and Paulson.
So ins were Zach Williams, as we mentioned, and Adam Sard and Lockie Fogarty they picked up from the Cats. Yeah,
they gave up pick 30, I think, so another fringe type player, so hopefully he can contribute.
Yeah. So in terms of draft, so pick 37 was Corey Durdin.
Yeah, so they came into the draft pretty late because they gave up a lot of picks, players and things like that. So yeah, Durdin's a small forward midfielder at 173 centimeters from South Australia. So this guy had the best under 16s level carnival, so I think he won the medal for that. But he just didn't grow too much after that, so he that generally doesn't pushes you down the draft order because the other players grow a bit. He just wins contested balls. He's got clean hands, and he's a good, smart user by foot or hand. And leadership qualities is the other one. Yeah. So I think he captained the under-17s, the All-Star team. Yeah. In terms of his pace, he's not as quick, so he runs 3.15 seconds for the 20 meter.
Yeah, a bit slow.
A little bit slow, but I think makes up for it with his smarts.
And I think the biggest draft star was pick 41, Jack Carroll.
Yeah, Carroll is a 187 medium midfielder, so can play over the wing as well. So he's got a late birth, so a December boy. So generally they've got a few more months of development in him. So he was touted to go in the teens, but for whatever reason just slid. And he's a good distributor by hand and foot, but he can also win his fair share of contested possession. So he gets 60% of the ball contested, and he can win. And he won 5.1 clearances on average for his Colts team.
Inside mid.
Yeah, and compared to Hugh McCluggage, so one of our favourites.
Yeah. So in terms of weight, he's only 676 kilograms, so he might not play round one.
Yeah, it's a bit light, don't you reckon, for AFL? So
maybe that's why he slipped. But
yeah, potentially. Yeah. So probably won't play this year, but we'll see.
And rookies, they re-recruited Matthew Kennedy and Eddie Betts using the loophole many clubs have.
Young gun Eddie Betts. Yeah. And Luke Parks was their rookie pick. So he's a 192 centimeter medium defender or third defender from Glenelg again. So he was from the Sydney Academy, so a mature age player. So he relocated to the Sandful.
Okay.
Had a good consistent year in defence and good reader of the play and can take a contested mark. So you'd think he's a bit of insurance for guys like Newman and
100%. They've got a few. I mean, even Mitch Montgomery could play back as well, and Lockie Plowman. So hopefully he can.
Yeah, it's one of those picks where you pick up if you're trying to make finals. So he can contribute, similar to maybe Wilkie.
Yeah, and they've got Xavier Marr and Oscar McDonald, brother of Tom, training with them at the moment. Yeah,
so looking to win a spot in. I think they've got 2 rookie spots available. Yeah. So do you want to take us through? Oh, maybe I'll take us through the best 22. So from the back line, we've got Marchbank, Liam Jones, Petreski, Seaton. Adam Sard, Jacob Wiedering, and Sam Doherty. Sam Walsh, Zach Williams in the middle, Mark Murphy on the other wing. Jack Martin, Charlie Curnow, Will Setterfield. Zach Fisher, Harry McKay, and Lockie Fogarty. In the rucks, Mark Pittonet, Patrick Cripps, and Ed Curnow. And the interchange, we've gone for Tom DeConning, Brody Kemp, Tom Williamson, and David Cunningham. So a little bit of a tricky bottom four.
Yeah, it's and then emergence, like people that have missed out, we've got Gibbons, Jack Nunes, Lockie O'Brien, Paddy Dow. I thought he should have been best 22. Why shouldn't he be?
So, we had a bit of a debate on the two former first-round picks, O'Brien and Dow. So, I just think the best 22 picked it on the efforts from last year. So, I think, Williamson and Cunningham had better years than those two and deserve it. And I know Kemp didn't play, but I think... he's got a lot of potential and he's coming off a knee and he deserves a shot. Whereas, I think O'Brien and Dow might need to prove some form in the reserves.
Yeah, and we haven't found spots for Kennedy, Betts, Mitch McGovern, Nick Newman, Plowman and Casbolt. So there is a fair bit of depth there, but...
Experience depth, yeah. But, I'd like to see those young guys push on and guys like, DeConning, Williamson, develop.
Yeah, so I think... For me, Gibbons and Nunes are solid players, but for the team to play finals, you'd like Paddy Dow, Kemp, Lockie O'Brien emerging in that best 22.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. So it'll be a interesting year. I think Blues supporters, they've been really patient, but surely they're running out of patience. So we got to still remember they won the Wooden Spoon only 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So
with Bolton.
So give them a couple more. I think. If they miss the finals this year, you reckon...
Teague.
Yeah, what?
It's under pressure.
Teague, he probably should stay. He probably can't afford to miss one more year of finals.
Yeah, the questions are, does Teague get... is he in trouble with his job or does Cripps go as well? I don't think he was his captain, but there's a lot of questions there and they've picked up, Sard and Williams, who are both on big contracts as well. So you'd like, their list position and age profile, they really should be making finals.
Yeah, they're going to be one of the teams in that mix to finish in that last couple of positions, I reckon, because you have, Melbourne, maybe Greater Western Sydney, Freo, sort of looking for that spot.
As well.
Do you have a grade?
Yep, so I gave them a C, so just couldn't give them a pass mark as final should have been the aim. Projection 6 to 8 in 2021. A lot depends on getting Curnow on the park and the performance of Sard and Williams as recruits. There's just no longer any excuses to play finals just with the list profile of the recruits and
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. So we'll move on to Geelong.
Yeah, so grand finalists, so 12 wins and 5 losses, the fourth after the home and away season. Lost away to Port in the first final, but then thrashed the Pies and the Lions. Did lose the grand final by 31 points after leading by 22 nearing halftime, and then Dusty took over, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. You just felt it was a bit of deja vu in that game. Tigers, they've just got these gears and a lot of self-belief.
Yeah.
But I think overall Geelong still had an exceptional year, and a lot of people would have thought they would dip, potentially missing finals, just being an older team.
And even Kelly left as well. They were like, who's going to replace him? But as Geelong does, they find a way and were competitive throughout the whole year, essentially. And didn't play much at Geelong as well.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They had to had a pretty tricky road travel sort of arrangement.
Yeah, like all the Melbourne clubs, I think they were based in Queensland for a lot of the year.
Yeah, but they had to go to WA for a bit, and then Sydney, and then Gold Coast. True. So a little bit trickier than other clubs, but they got through it. Being an older team as well, I think the travel wouldn't have helped as much, but the shortened quarters and the shortened season would have. Yeah. So guys like Selwood, Ablett, Hawkins, I reckon, it would have contributed to them sort of hanging in there and getting to the last day.
Yeah. And even their BNF, so you Guthrie, Hawkins, Blitzarves, Danger and Duncan and Menegola top 6. So only 34 points separated 10th to first, which just shows the evenness of the team to last year. So in terms of all Australian, they did have, I think it was 4 to 5 players, didn't they?
They've had 5, I think equal most. So, the players you rolled off all got in, and Duncan just missed out on that. But, he had a good year. So we might go to what worked for them, and I might kick it off with, the fresh faces to balance the top end of their performances in terms of their best and fairest count. Yeah. So they had, the top few, what you mentioned, they were seasoned sort of stars, but the bottom 4 of that top 10 was Buse, Henry, O'Connor, and Myers. Yeah. So a lot of names there, which some people might not even know. So O'Connor is in the leadership group already after 51 games.
Yeah, Irishman, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been less than 51 because it was start of last year. And Myers, for his forward work, dangerous small forward, kicked 19 goal 6. Yeah. Very accurate. And Henry and Buse were just solid and assured in defence. So, their efforts were recognised in the voting.
Yeah. So what do you think of Asava Radigalia?
Yeah, I think he came on a bit. He showed a bit in sort of glimpses.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to put together sort of stretches of games. Ultimately not being there at the pointy end. But, took a few strong marks, read the game a bit better. And, just needs to maybe work on his work forward of the ball. Maybe that forward line help complement Hawkins and now Cameron.
Yeah, 100%. And it'd be interesting to see if they play him or they play him in the best 22 now with the Cameron recruitment.
Yeah, see if a 3-pronged attack might be the way to go because, I think just getting games into him might be how he improves.
Yeah. And
what about you? Anything that stood out?
Yeah, so for me it was like we talked about, the midfield support for Danger and Selwood. So Guthrie, Duncan and Parfitt all had probably elite years. Allowed Danger to spend large periods and even full games up forward, and Selwood missed a few games as well with injury.
Yeah, and the ability to perform when those players were out, those superstars were out, with guys like Sam Simpson and Close coming in.
Yeah.
I think they almost played better with those young players.
Quick players, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a hard call to change the team
for finals.
Yeah, because you obviously want the Selwoods and Ablets in, but what do? Do you say to Ablett you can't play?
Yeah, exactly, especially in the farewell year. So retirement of Ablett does open up a spot for one of those players you mentioned. Yeah,
it reminds me a little bit of Collingwood before they won that 2010 flag. They had a lot of old players like Medhurst and who else? Like Burns and all these guys. Yeah. They just couldn't get to the final day with these guys, and then they let them go and they got into side bottom and beams. Yeah. That helped them push up. So maybe it can be similar. Maybe the younger players coming through can help Dangerfield and Menegola and these guys.
Yeah, it's a great point. So what failed? There probably wasn't much here, but you've got a good one.
Jack Stevens was the obvious one here. So didn't work out for him, unfortunately. So only played the 1 year. So he retires as a 31-year-old with 192 games, and he won 4 best St Kilda best and fairest awards. One of the champs at St Kilda. So just played the 9 games due to form and injuries with the Cats, and had a couple of high possession games where he kicked a goal or two, but in the end, didn't quite work out. And Sean Higgins, I think, comes in looking to play that role.
Yeah, I think Higgins probably has a few more years left in him as well. So you'd like to think that's a like for like with probably more upside. Yeah,
definitely. And you had one as well?
Yeah, so I think the speed from the back 6, they're all very solid citizens like Buse and Henry, as you mentioned, but I think they're just a bit one-paced. Taylor's obviously retired now, but I think you got to probably add some more pace, and we'll talk about the best 22 and if Jordan Clark fits in there, because I think he'd be perfect to fit that role.
Yeah, I'd go so far as to say even the midfield could do with a bit more pace, because like Parfitt isn't super quick, Menegola. It's not too bad. It's more of a sort of winger that wins a bit of ball.
Yeah.
But otherwise, without, I guess Ablett was the sit there.
Yeah, so you got players like Narkle as well that got a bit of pace, and whether they
Pace is a little bit overrated. You only need like one or two players with that skill. So maybe that's why they looked to trade up to get the guy like Max Holmes. So we'll talk a little bit about him later. But But I think not much failed, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Had to look for that really, and who deserves a pay rise based on last year?
Yeah, I've got Sam Menegola. So we talked a little bit about him in our previous podcast, but just a wonderful story. 29-year-old, 82 games, so it's still pretty young in terms of experience in the game, but should have been All-Australian.
Yeah, it's unlucky. I think he was in our All-Australian team when we picked it, but missed out.
Could have replaced Gorn on the bench.
I think that was the obvious replacement.
So it's just an ultra-consistent ball-winning wingman who hits the scoreboard. So he kicked 13 goals, 3 for the year. Was 4th in marks as well. 13th in contested possessions in the league. So he just works hard, obviously. So
it's just been a great pickup. Like he had a stint at Freo as well.
Yeah, after getting drafted by Hawks first. Yeah. And then 1 year there, 3 years at Freo. Just injured most of his time at Freo.
Yeah. Been a great story, I think, for the Cats as well.
Yeah, so it's guys like that where makes a difference and prevents you from being a bottom team.
Yeah, and for me it was Brandon Parfitt. So I think another breakout year for him. Like Menegola, I think they were deemed untouchable by the Cats in any Cameron trade. Second in the comp for tackles, which surprised me, but 22-year-old, he's re-signed for 2 years now. I think the more goals for him is the next step. Only 33 from 72 games so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think he'd had a outstanding year, but I didn't know he was that good defensively. So that's why he's sort of rated, and he got games essentially in his debut year. So feel like he would just impact games a bit more, maybe add a bit more X factor to his game. But he gets up forward and if you can do that, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, and it'd be remiss of us not to mention Cam Guthrie. So he had an absolute breakout year and won the BNF as well. So he's not just a tagger anymore; he's an elite midfielder.
Yeah, good on Cameron Guthrie.
And who needs a big 2021? So you've got one of our favourites.
Yeah, Gary Rowan, unfortunately. So he's must be used to being in this category.
Big boy.
Yeah, a little bit, isn't he? So he has, because he's like best and worst are so far apart that you just like to see him be a bit more consistent, especially in finals. His poor record continued this year.
Yeah, so I think against the Lions, I thought he stood up, but the other 3 finals he didn't really perform too well. And he's got some controversies off the field. We won't delve into that, but hopefully it doesn't affect his on-field performance, and that might have been a reason for last year and the dip in form, because I think he started off really well but tailed off towards the end.
He has good games and he can win a game of his own boot. I mean, he's done that a couple of times, kicked 2 or 3 or 4 goals and done that. But is that going to be enough if he can't prove himself when it matters? Like, can someone else come and do that role during the season?
I think Brad Scott's a huge fan. Like, he doesn't rate his touches so much, but the fact that he runs up the ground gives more space for players like Hawkins and Cameron coming in now as well. So maybe that's his role in the team, and probably the outside looking in, we don't really know that. But he does go missing and you don't know he's playing some game, which is not good enough for a guy of his talent.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what he is, I suppose. He's like almost 30, so he's all 30. So, and you've got another common whipping boy.
Yeah, Reece Stanley. So I thought he had a decent year, better finals campaign. Brad Scott trusted him in a final to play.
Chris Scott.
Yeah, Chris Scott. What did I say? Brad Scott. But he trusted him to play finals as the number 1 ruckman. But I think he just has the potential for so much more. I think it's a belief thing with him, and it's been talked about as well that doesn't believe in himself as much as he probably should. Just like as a deep marking threat up forward, he's got a big leap and a good contested mark on him. So hopefully more goals from him this year.
Mm-hmm.
Another year as the number 1 ruck.
Yeah, he's going to have Ratuglia breathing down his
Yeah.
neck if it's going to be... There's going to be a bit of a competition for that.
Yeah, logjam.
Yeah. And Jordan Clark, we'd hope he has a good year. So equal 5th in the Rising Star in his year. So with Myers, actually, and Myers has gone on to be ultra consistent.
Yeah.
So he finished above Zoha, Duzma, Allen, these sort of guys. So he's no doubt got a lot of talent. And he could be that speed out of defence.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll talk about the best 22 as well. So after this, and we've got key players at left. So obviously Gary Ablett retired, as well as Harry Taylor and Jack Stephen. So Nakai Tokatu to the Lions, Lockie Fogarty to the Blues, Jacob Kennelly, James Parsons, Blake Slim Schlog, if I haven't pronounced that right, and Jacob Tracker. So I don't know much about those last 4. But
Tracker's his surname, not a nickname.
Not Petracker, is it? No, okay.
And in came Jeremy Cameron, the big fish, the biggest fish.
Yeah, well.
And a couple of dads, I think. Isaac Smith's a dad. I don't know. Isaac Smith and Sean Higgins, who's definitely a dad.
Yeah. Was his wife expecting twins or something?
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully he doesn't play 100 games for Geelong.
Yeah, you'd want him to get to play for the Roos.
Or the Dogs. And do you want to kick off the draft?
Yeah, so picking low with the obviously Tim Kelly trade the year before. So pick 20 was Max Holmes.
Yeah, so they would have liked to have a few more first rounders, but obviously had to give some up for Cameron, but managed to trade out this year's first for Richmond's pick 20. So it was Max Holmes, as you said. So he's a medium midfielder, 189 centimeters from the Sandy Dragons. He's a athletic beast, so he's got amazing athletic abilities. He's a son of Olympian sprinter Lee Naylor.
Okay, yeah.
So she's
pedigree.
Yeah, so he had a broken arm in 2019, which restricted him to 3 games, and obviously none last year. But he's still got a really strong endurance base, elite speed. Does the 20 meter in 2.8 seconds. Really quick. And the knock on him is just his ball use. So these are all like from profiles. I haven't seen these guys play, but let's give you an idea.
Yeah, and Cal, the draft guru, Twimmy, said, so they just won the bidding, didn't they? So there was a few clubs bidding for the Tigers' first pick.
Yeah, so a lot of clubs bidding late second rounders and things like that. But I think where Geelong will finish will be similar to where that pick is, so I think it's a fair trade.
And pick 33 was Shannon Neal.
Yeah, Neal, no relation to Lockie because Shannon's 202 centimeter ruckman from WA. So he's only 91 kilos, which I guess is a little bit light for ruckman, so I might have to put on another 5 or 10 kilos. Yeah. But he's very athletic for a big man, so 3.04 seconds for the 220 meter. And Cats have historically struggled developing ruckman. So hopefully he can be a long-term prospect.
Yeah, I think it's more a development pick at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Pick 47 was Nick Stevens, no relation to Port. The Port trader that went to
Nick
Carlton
Stevens
free of
Jr.
charge.
You're still a bit salty about Nick Stevens. But no, I'm not sure, but I don't think so. So this Nick Stevens is 193 centimeter medium defender from Geelong Grammar. So he just player that breaks the lines, has a bit of leg speed and power. Again, he does 20 meters in 3 seconds, sub 3 seconds. And could be one of those gem picks that Stephen Wells generally finds.
Yeah, you'd back him to pick guns at these positions.
Yeah, especially like defenders, he's done well. So we'll see. And they got a guy called Paul, how do you say that?
Sapatelis? I think the T's silent.
Yeah, Sapatelis. As a Category B rookie, so he's an ex-basketballer, another 202 centimeter player. So, he'd be looking to follow in the footsteps of Blitzarves and O'Connor, these sort of guys.
Yeah, 100%. So we're on to the best 22. So backline we've got Zach Tui, Tom Stewart, Mark O'Connor. Halfbacks you've got Jordan Clark, Mark Blitzarves and Jake Kolodajny. Centre line, Mitch Duncan, Joel Selwood, Sam Menegola. Half forwards, Luke Dalhouse, Jeremy Cameron, Sean Higgins. Forward pocket, forward line, we've got Brian Myers, Tom Hawkins and Sam Simpson. Followers, Reece Stanley, Danger and Cam Guthrie. And on the bench, we've got Jed Buse, Brandon Parfitt, Brad Close and Isaac Smith. So there was no place for Lockie Henderson or Gary Rowan.
Yeah, I took Henderson.
From the grand final team.
I guess Henderson didn't play much of the year. He just came in at the end.
Yep.
But I reckon they can back themselves to take on key forwards with Blitzovs and Tom Stewart. Maybe Jake Kolodjasny can take.
As the third one,
yeah. And that'll just help provide that run out of defence.
Yeah, so we've replaced Jordan Clark replaced Jack Henry with Jordan Clark from the grand final team. And they've got a bit of depth there with Sam DeConning, Radigalia, Narkle, Charlie Constable and Cooper Stevens, who was first rounder, was he the year before?
First rounder, yep. So he'd be one that would looking to develop, come in, maybe take that Selwood role in the future. Good depth, as you said, but good mix of youth and experience in that. So you still got Clark in there, Sam Simpson,
Brad Close as well.
Yeah, Myers, Parfitt. Yeah, so good blend. I think not a lot of change, which is a good indication of how they'll go. So hopefully they can push for another grand final berth.
Yeah. So with the grade for 2020, I'd say A for them. I think the only issue I think was that 9-goal turnaround in the grand final could haunt the club for years to come if the likes of Danger, Guthrie, Tom Stewart and Blitzfars can't win a flag, because the players like Duncan, Selwood obviously and Hawkins have won flags, but a lot of players in that team haven't. And projection for next year, I think it's like the Lions last week, it's grand final minimum. Yeah, just the topping up of the list with the Coleman medalist Cameron, 2-time BNF winner at the Roos, Higgins, and 3-time flag wingman Smith, and plus they held on to Parfitt and Menegola in the Cameron trade. Didn't need to give up any best 22 players.
Yeah, even though they lost a lot of their picks, they managed to turn Tim Kelly into arguably the best key forward in the game. So now they've got good players at his feet, and I think they can definitely. They should be the second favourite again to win the flag, and
I think there's no doubt about that.
They'll be better prepared this year, so not as much pressure on Ablett and Taylor. I think you're replacing them with older players but better players.
Yeah, Higgins and Smith, I think, definitely have more years on the clock than those players.
Yeah, you just need maybe the Clark and the Sam Simpson close these guys to improve 10-20% on their form, and that could be enough. That's the difference. It's not easy getting into a grand final, but I think they've got the experience and age. The players are at the right age profile to challenge. Yeah,
at least sustain that position.
All right, so that's about it from us.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right, thanks. See ya.